This is the MAMMOTION app for the Yuka Mini robotic lawnmower. Here you can see this is what things look like when you first start them up. You might have seen it lose connection and then reconnect. Well, that's because of my position for filming versus where the robot actually is. And it's raining today, so I will not be going outside to film close to the robot. However, if we start up on the top here, we're gonna come over to the left-hand side. This is a notifications area. So if I click the bell, it's gonna tell me things that have been happening. So right here, I had a task failure because I turned something off because I was getting a rain delay, and I'll be getting rain all week. So rather than waiting for that to finish up, I'll go back and do that a little later. At the top here, we can see our Bluetooth connectivity, our Wi-Fi connectivity, and to the right of that, our positioning and then battery charge. If I select this option, it's going to give me a lot of information. Right here, you could see 4G and Bluetooth, nothing there because, well, I'm not close enough to the unit to actually have that do anything. And then I've got my Wi-Fi connection, which is green. Clicking on any of these with a little arrow will give you more information about something that's happening, but there's a lot of sensitive information, so I won't be showing you that. There is a refresh button in the upper right-hand corner, and if we come down to our positioning information, so positioning status, good, satellites, it gives us a lot of information that I've seen done better in other applications because R31, BL, blah, blah, like these mean nothing to me. Are these individual satellites? This part could be done better, but just know green is good. Signal strength, R good, B bad. Position mode, I have antenna over data link. If I select this, I could do antenna over internet or iNav service. I just left it at what the default was. And here is our connected status. Again, clicking on this will allow me to select the RTK system. And then we have our POS vision, good. Brightness, good. So we have my RTK sensor located in a good spot. Coming down, if I hit this start button, I will be able to start a new task. I can also select start a new task right here, or as you can see, it flashed up, I have tasks that are scheduled. So in that case, I would hit the three dots in the right-hand corner, which will allow me to create a new task once this loads up. So right here, you could see the two tasks that I have set up already, and it gives you what's going to happen. So area 2, Tuesday, Thursday, area 1, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. What's happening? It's mowing, and then an estimate countdown until this event happens. This one's 17 hours. This one is a day and 17 hours until the next instance. If I click the three dots, it will allow me to enable or disable, rename, edit, run it now, copy it, or delete it. If I select edit, this will bring me into what do I want to do? So task area, I would select all one or none, settings, random cut pattern, zigzag, no-go zones, perimeter. These are all things that are accessible from another location, so I'll show you that when we get there. But we could also select new, and that brings us in here and kind of walks us through all that again. So we're gonna back things out and actually select my Yuka Mini here, which you kind of saw. Here is the map of my yard, and it zooms in right where the Mini is. Hypothetically, if you had a really big lawn and you couldn't find where your robot mower is, simply select there and it will get you right where that is. You can also select that, and if you are not currently charging, it would tell your robot to charge. You could see I have the RTK right there. There's the base station, and that's a no-go area. You might also see between areas 1 and 2, I have a little overlap. And I like the fact that I was able to do that because I kind of had a strip there and it was annoying me. So I'm happy that I was able to bring that together a little more. On the bottom here, we have the ability to send this out to start mowing right now. I have the ability to do manual controls, and then I have tasks, which is what we were looking at before, and then map. If I select map, I can select mow, I could select manual, I could select create. If I do this, I have create an area, create a no-go zone, create a channel, or create a pattern. I do not have a big enough yard to really do a pattern, but if I wanted to, I could select this, and I have some predetermined patterns that you could do. So some alphabet, some balls of sorts, some Christmas. You also have the ability to locate and then manually turn on the lights of your robot from that view. Now, I will come back into tasks and show you a little more of what you could do here. So we talked about the renaming. When I was in the edit, you could see the area that we wanted to do and then settings. There actually have been quite a few firmware updates that have pushed new features to the robot mower in this particular area. So I wanted to actually take the time to show you what they were right before I put this out, because that's when they came out. So starting at the top here, we now have a task speed, which will allow us to change how fast the mower actually moves as it's cutting our grass, which is a great feature to have and not one that I saw on my second mower, but did have on my first mower. So I do like that. Next, we have path spacing. By default, it is set at 3.9 inches, but you can change the spacing. So that overlap that it's going to do, new in our cutting path mode, I'll show you these later, but now we have a adaptive zigzag, meaning it will do the best it can to optimize things, but it won't look as clean. And then we've got our chessboard, and you can change your cross hatching, which is something that was not there before. No-go zone mowing laps. Well, now you can select how many laps around a no-go zone area that it will do in order to make sure that everything in that area is cut. And then last for the major updates was the path order, zigzag, which is your primary cutting region, versus perimeter first. I do make a specific call out to the fact that it does the internal first and does not do the exterior cutting path first. So trimming along the edge, which is what I'm more accustomed to. Last update, they included that, which is great to see that they're continuing to push updates to this mower. But now back to the review from the past. Now, cut path, you can randomize, which will mean every time it goes out, it will do a slightly different pattern, which I greatly appreciate because that means you're not going to get ruts in your lawn from it going and doing the same thing over and over. You can customize. Well, here I could see, watch the patterns as they change. I could say go out. So I could create a pattern. Monday does this, Wednesday does this, and Friday does that if I wanted to. You could also do optimal, where the robot will pick the best path for it. However, keep in mind, if you do this way, it will use the same pattern over and over and over again, which means that it will create ruts in your lawn. So I personally would leave it on random. You also have what type, zigzag, where it will go one way, left and right, or you can do checkerboard, where it'll go both ways. And you can kind of see it gives you a visualization as to what that's going to look like. No-go zone mowing, I have this off, but if you enable it, the robot shall not mow in the inner perimeter of your no-go. So this would be trying to keep it from getting too close to your no-go areas. Here we have perimeter mowing. This will be the robot goes out and mows 2 times around the perimeter of your yard. Personally, I leave this off for my bigger yard because I just go and hit that with the weed whacker. But I also find it weird that MAMMOTION chooses to do this perimeter mowing after it does the actual mowing. I've tested other mowers and they do that first. Kind of wish it would have done that, but that could be changed in a firmware update or just an option here. MAMMOTION, I'm looking at you. Here we have obstacle detection mode. I have it on standard, but you could put super sensitive or off altogether. For the most part, I have found that standard is enough. And then we have our start progress. Well, at what point do you want the progress to start? It's an odd setting, honestly. And we're going to go back. Coming down, it shows you the total square footage that will be mowed because it is going to double back on itself because it overlaps as it goes, which is nice. And then total runtime. You can ignore that. You could save or you could schedule. So if I hit schedule, it's going to allow me to pick the days of the week and what time it starts. Now I could do that weekly, or I could pick a fixed interval where this happens on this day, this happens on this day. There's a lot of customization in this that I greatly appreciate from MAMMOTION, just with the basic yard work. Now, there are a few other things that do pop up when you are using the MAMMOTION app, but the mower has to be out and actually running, and that will appear over on the right-hand side. That is the ability to switch between the map view, what you're looking at right now, and then a live POV mode of the robot roaming around your yard as it's doing its cutting. I think that's actually one of the cooler things that I've seen a robot lawnmower do. In fact, you could use it kind of as a sentry mode, put it in POV mode and drive it around using the toggles. Now, when I said the toggles, you've got your manual toggles left and right here. They're pretty much like joysticks that you could drive this out and about. But right now it is raining outside, so I really don't want to do that. But I might be able to hit the POV right here, and there you could see a live feed from my yard. Now, from here, I could select mow. I could do manual mow, which I have to be close enough to do Bluetooth, but this will allow you to drive it around like an RC car and mow a specific area, which could be helpful for getting this bit right in front of the mower, because whenever it leaves the base station, it really doesn't do right in front. Now, I am losing connectivity quite a bit, but that is partially because I am on the interior of my house with my phone, and the exterior, it is raining and wet, and it's just not a great time to be filming, but that's what happens. From this screen here, in the upper right-hand corner, if we want to contact support, we've got live chat, hotline service, and then upload your log. So if there's anything that they need from your robot, you could provide it that way. We've got our settings. This is going to be the settings for the robot itself. Here we've got our device information, which will show you the device name, the model, sharing management. So if you allow other people to share your robot with you, robot's firmware version, firmware release notes, network settings, uploaded logs, factory reset if you need to, maintenance, and then warranty, and then unbind from your account. Here you can see, as of filming this portion, this is the total square footage, this is the hours run that it's done, and then activation time, and then blade remaining. If I want to, I can say set a reminder, and then I could set an hour. Now, there are other companies that actually pre-program that for you, so I kind of like that MAMMOTION allows you to pick your own blade renewal depending on type of grass and all that you might have. Coming down, we have our network settings, recorded tasks. So you can see yellow means it didn't get to finish it because of an item, but we've got completed. So start time, end time, task, area, type of task, completion, all that fun stuff. That's all under our records. Uploaded log. I don't have any, but we could take pictures, add them there. It's very helpful. Here we have our settings for the robot or the app. If I change it to the app, we have map layer settings, unit, and then upper speed for manual control. So you could toggle that to shift it around. For my map, I've got default map style or satellite, which is pretty cool, but does kind of show your actual location. So it won't be showing you that. If we come back to the robot, we've got our manual operation, which will bring us into the toggle mode here, which again, we're not going to do. We've got our no mowing on rainy days. I have that turned on because, well, actually right now it is raining pretty bad. So this has been very helpful, but it also means the robot's not going to go out anytime soon. We've got our turn mode, which will be zero turn or multi-point. So zero turn, it will use both wheels and turn itself on a dime, while the multi-turn kind of moves in a pattern to get it to the next layer. I will say, as far as the zero turn goes, this is much gentler than other zero turn options that I've tested before. And then we've got our direct for recharge mode. It'll take the beeline shortest to get to your charger or follow the perimeter so you don't have to worry about ruts. And most of MAMMOTION stuff here, it will give you a visual example, so you don't have to worry if you don't understand what it's saying. Here we've got our side LEDs. Well, these are the lights on the side of the mower. I like to keep all the lights off to keep my mowers from being noticed by people. So that's on and off. Auto light, that's if it's mowing in the evening and things get dark, it will turn the front lights on, allowing the mower to see. Non-work periods, well, for me, I do not like it running overnight because the blades get clogged up with damp grass. But for me, I have it set for non-working period. I can edit this. So select when does the work stop and then when can it pick up again. So for me, about 8 o'clock and then picks up again at 10:58 the next day. Delete a map. Well, if you want to, you can delete your map right there. And then we have our positioning mode. Again, antenna over data link, antenna over internet, or the nav, and that brings us back to here. We're going to pop back out. We're going to come back in here, come down to our relocate charging station. Selecting this will allow you to move your charging station to a different location where it will realize it has moved, but also realizes where the charging station is. And then voice settings. Do you want male? Do you want female? Or do you want off? In my case, I didn't want it talking at me. It still makes the samurai sword sound when things start up, but you don't have to have it talking to you. Now, that was all under our robot and then also our settings. But if we bring this over, there are two pieces to this. First is the robot. Next is the RTK sensor. At the top, just like we could before, Bluetooth connection to the sensor, RTK station is bad, Wi-Fi is good, and then our positioning. If I select the sensor itself, unlike the robot, there's nothing I can actually click on except to like rename this. So it's just the positioning for that. If I come down to the bottom, that was under our devices. I can select services, which will allow us to request help, access the store. You've got your academy. This is going to be stuff from MAMMOTION, kind of helping you. What do I need to do? So maintenance, Luba, here we go. It's going to give you a bunch of information. I kind of like this section a lot. You've got video tutorials, user manuals, mower care, winter maintenance, FAQ, and about us. All of that in these services. They're not actually really trying to sell you anything here, which is a refreshing change to the services area within an app for a smart device. Coming over to me, we've got Device management, I can see the two items that I currently own, find my device, connections to smart platforms like Alexa and Google Home. We've got our guide, which you can turn off after you've used it one time, system language, upload logs, and about MAMMOTION. And then up at the top would be your username and email, which were conveniently out of frame for this. But that has been everything that you can do for the Yuka Mini in the MAMMOTION app.